All right, guys, now we're going to dive into a little bit. Let's say you have a meeting set, virtual meeting, in-person meeting, phone call, doesn't really matter. But you have the ear of the person who understands the contact center operation, who understands the customer experience journey. What you want to find out now is you want to qualify this opportunity. There are a lot of questions that you could ask for a deep dive, but I'm going to focus on the ones that do two very important things from your perspective. One is it's going to be differentiators. So it's what separates one supplier from another. And that's going to help you, in the end, pick the right supplier to present to your customer. And the other one is going to be cost. The things that we ask about are things that can typically increase a cost when you're doing an actual proposal. So let's get right to it. The first question is the contact center inbound, outbound, or blended? All right, so inbound simply means, and I want to caution you right now, because we're not talking 100%. No one is really 100% any of those. Even if a contact center is inbound, what they typically mean is the majority of their calls are inbound, but occasionally they'll do a call back or reply to a customer. So if they say inbound, if it's more than 75, 80% inbound, it's considered inbound. Even if they tell you they have some outbound feature requirements, you're going to focus on the carriers that are inbound driven and inbound perfected, right? If it's outbound, world of difference. Outbound, you're going to run into mostly with collection agencies, sales organizations, people trying to upsell, subscription-based places, those types of things. And dialers come into play. That's in a completely different world. Inbound is you're looking at the ability of the ACD. Outbound, you're talking a preview dialer, a progressive dialer, a multi-line dialer, a power dialer. There's all different kinds of things that we want to get into. Or blended. Do they truly have agents that are sitting there that are receiving inbound calls, and when there's no inbound call, it automatically presents an outbound call? Or even a unified thing where it presents an email as a task for them or a case for them, depending on the CRM that they're using. So that's the first question that you want to ask. The second question you want to ask goes to their presence. Are they an international company? Now, I don't necessarily mean are they a company that's based in the US that can sell globally. I mean, do they actually have operations internationally? Do they have a location, a factory, or anything in the UK or Australia, New Zealand area, in the Asia Pacific, anything like that? There are different rules that govern doing business outside of the United States, even for Mexico and Canada. So it's important that we identify those early on, and it's also important that we get you a supplier that plays in the international space. The other thing is integration. When you think contact center, think data is king. Okay, wherever the customer information is being held, that's the system of record. That's the integral part of what we're doing. Even though you're going to be talking to them about purchasing a contact center technology, the contact center technology must integrate successfully with their CRM. So talk to them about integrations that they have or that they would like. Talk to them about possible ERPs or financial systems that they may want to integrate with, and find out what tools, what resources exist that the agents are using right now that this customer may want to integrate with. So just three more. The next one is channels. Do they currently have voice, inbound, outbound, email, text, chat, video, social media? Go through the gamut, because you're going to find out not only what they have, but you're also going to find out if there's something out there they're interested in. Have they been looking at different things? Is there something that they want? So go through, actually list the channels. When I do this, I actually like to list them in two separate columns. I list the have versus the wants, so that I know when I go back and do the proposal to present them correctly. The other one is the biggest draw of time and resources and money in the contact center space is the human being, of course. So there's no secret that attrition is the number one issue facing contact centers. So you want to ask them, do they have any expectations or requirements around workforce optimization or workforce management? Real quick, workforce optimization is things like speech analytics, call recording, quality monitoring and scoring. Workforce management is scheduling, real-time adherence. Do I have the bodies here when the calls come in? Did that person take the right amount of break time? Those types of things. You want to ask them what their requirements are around that. If they have something that they want to keep, if they're open to discussing it, you want to be able to have that conversation as well. And the last thing is, I'm going to double back to the very first one I said. If in fact they tell you they're an outbound environment, or they tell you they're fully blended, you have to ask a couple more questions around outbound dialing. because people do outbound dialing specifically. There's an issue with TCPA. It's a regulation that we have in the US. We have GDPR that exists in the UK. And we have to know every supplier doesn't have a dialer, and even the ones that have dialers have different types of dialers. So I don't really want you wasting your time with a supplier that's not going to meet your customer need. So those are the 6 questions that I want to ask. Those are initial discovery questions. And you can do those even without having a subject matter expert or even having a supplier on the phone with you. Those are intended to be common language questions that you can have a conversation around the customer experience with the contact center person. So feel empowered to get that far on your own, and we'll talk about what to do next.